all of these characters have met Wukong before? Wukong can beat gods, but can't beat this guy? Why is this giant baby crying all the time?
Huh?
Hi everyone! In this video, I'm going to explain the story for Chapter 1 in Black Myth Wukong, including a deep dive into the lore, the key characters' backstories, and all of the Chinese culture information that isn't in the game that you need to know to understand the story in-game. In my last video, I went through the opening cutscene and analyzed the conversation between this dork and Wukong. I also gave some background on the book Journey to the West and Wukong's history, so if you haven't watched that yet, check that one out first. Alright, so what's the story of Chapter 1? The main story here revolves around this black bear. You might look at this guy transforming into a human and be like, yo, is this dude actually a bear? Or does he just have a bear form? Or is he like half bear? And that's a good question. I will explain how he works later on. For now, just think of him as a bear. There are two main storylines in this chapter. First, let's call it the hierarchy of the Black Wind Mountain. The black bear is the boss of this mountain, but he cannot do it all by himself. So he has to find someone he can trust to help him. The top two picks are his two best friends, Lin Xuzi, not this guy, and White-clad Noble. Unfortunately, these two besties were long dead. We'll talk about their death later. The bear decided to revive these two friends using his newfound power. Unfortunately, Lin Xuzi came back to life, but didn't like it at all. He felt restless for having a new desire for blood, so he ended up hanging himself after a tea party with a white-clad noble. The bear has to find a replacement for the empty leadership spot. Luckily, there's a wandering wolf pack that recently came to this mountain. The leader from that pack was quite strong, so he recruited him and named this new wolf leader Lin Xuzi. And that was the big wolf that we fought in Guanyin Temple. I was so confused as to why the bear gave two different characters the same name, so I looked into it and found out that the Chinese characters for their names are different. They are written differently, even though the pronunciations are the same. It is more obvious to the Chinese players if they are playing the game in Chinese. But in the English translation, it looks like he gave the new wolf the exact same name as the original one. But that's not what happened in the original Chinese version of the story. When I was playing it in English, I really thought he gave the new guy the same name just to honor his old friend, but reading it in Chinese seems like that's not the case. Okay, then we have the second storyline, the fire in the old Guanyin Temple. How is this related to the black bear? Let's use a bit of the cutscene here. Hey, it's the bear! At this point, I assume they're just a lesser guai. Let's pause here and talk about the terms guai and yao guai for a bit. Both terms originated from Taoism, which kind of means monster. But there's some extra Taoism sauce here. Guai refers to plants or animals or any creatures that gain sentience through practicing Taoism, know some basic combat moves and spells, and can outlive a regular creature of their own race. The creatures that respawn after resting are mostly lesser guais, like this guy, and this guy, and this guy. Yao guais are creatures that have even more guai power, massively outlive their own race, and also master a human form transformation. For example, the black bear in our story is a Yao guai. He is a black bear that gained sentience by practicing Taoism for a long time, and then got so powerful that became a Yao guai and learned a human form transformation. So he is not a human that can turn into a bear. He is a bear that meditated so good that he looked like a human. A guai or Yao guai doesn't necessarily mean they're hostile or evil. Some of them are actually quite friendly. You can see these guai NPC in-game, like this wolf guai that makes medicaments for us. Yao guai can ascend to the celestial court if they are devoted to Tao and lucky to get through the trials, just like humans. If you don't remember what a celestial court is, it is basically Taoists' idea of a heaven. Lots of humans in this world might call Wukong a Yao guai, purely based on his looks. But he is not technically a Yao guai, because he was born outside of the loop. He is neither stone nor monkey. He did not practice Taoism to the point that gets rid of his obsessions. Wukong is just built different. If there's a rule about anything in this world, probably Wukong already broke it. By the way, I need to mention the keeper, which is this guy. It will be going far too off the story and take too long to explain his whole deal right now, but I will add it at the end of the video. If you want those extra story details, make sure you stick around till the end. Okay, back to the cutscene. Bear was like, "Yo kid, come check out this sick bag of gold I found." So they bonded over their shared love for Taoism and Buddhism, and mostly the sick bag of gold. In the book, the bear even gifted Jinchi those rare medicaments to extend his life. That's why he lived till 270 years old. Dude might be able to live even longer if he didn't fork it all up later. This is such an iconic set of silhouettes of the monkey and Tang monk. They came to the door and asked to stay overnight at Guanyin Temple. Before I tell you what happened in the temple, I need to explain the word kasaya. Personally, I think it'd be more accurate to translate the piece of clothing to jiasha, which means the outer layer of the monk's robe. Especially here in the story, the original Chinese is only referring to the outer layer rather than the whole set, whereas kasaya refers to the whole set of the monk's clothing, so some meaning was lost in the translation here, but I will still call it kasaya. What happened next is quite interesting, but it's a long story, so here's a quick version. Jinshi said, "Welcome in, guys, and have some tea with us." Tang monk said, "Thank you, Elder. Your teacup looks real nice." Elder was like, "You are making me blush. You guys are from the capital. You must have seen better stuff. You got any precious goods on you?" Monkey said, "You should show him the kasaya." Tang monk says, "Shut up, monkey, shut up." Random monk says, "Someone mentioned kasaya? That's literally our master's thing. He loves collecting kasaya. He might have over 700 of them." Monkey said, "Can we see them?" Elder says, "Sure. Bring them out to the front and show them to our guests." The monks laid kasaya in the courtyard. Monkey said, "That's it. Lame. Ours is way better. Show them, master." Tang monk says, "Oh my gosh, stop. What if he wants it?" Monkey says, "Don't worry. I'll make sure it's safe and sound." Tang monk says, "Fine. But if anything happens to it, I will make you a hairless monkey." What? So Elder Jinchi was shocked by how beautiful and magical that kasaya was, and begged to borrow it overnight so he could have a closer look. In his room with the kasaya, he was obsessed. Nothing in his collection can even come close to this one. But he knew he couldn't just keep Tang monk here forever, so he started crying. Yeah. His disciples heard his cry and they came to help. One of the disciples, called Guangzhi, said they could just kill the two and take the kasaya, while Guangmo, the other disciple, worried that they'd lose to that sussy monkey. Even though they didn't know anything about Wukong's stories, I'd also be worried if I saw an arrogant talking monkey. This part of the story is very well illustrated at the end of the chapter's painting, so let's take a look there. The monks came up with a plan to set the house on fire and burn Wukong and Tang monk alive. That way, they don't have to fight nobody and can keep the kasaya. They assigned monks to collect the firewood from the shed, while Wukong heard their entire plan. He was sussing them the moment he stepped into the temple. He's just that good. He thought about killing the monks, but didn't want to face the consequences of Tang monk yapping non-stop. Instead, he flew to the celestial court and asked his old co-worker to lend him a fire-shielding cape. It is actually the skill we learned in-game. He put the cape over the fast-asleep Tang monk to protect him from the fire, while keeping guard up high to protect Elder Jinchi's room because the precious kasaya was in it. He wanted to punish the greedy monks, so he blew a strong gust of wind to aid the fire. The fire ended up blowing up so high and spread to the rest of the temple. The monks were in panic mode and tried their best to save all of the precious possessions of Elder Jinchi, one of the two peeps that slept like a baby that night. The other one was Tang monk, obviously. The black bear that lives near the temple in the mountain heard the chaos, so he rushed over wanting to help the monks put out the fire. But he got distracted by the glow coming from Jinchi's room, so he went in and saw the beautiful kasaya. We all know he loves fancy stuff at this point, right? He instantly forgot about the fire and stole the kasaya and flew away. The next day, Jinchi learned about the fire and the temple was burned to a crisp. On top of that, the kasaya went missing. Everything was falling apart. He was ashamed and scared of the angry monkey and the seemingly fireproof monk. So he performed a special headbutt into that pillar and, went offline. Yeah. The book didn't talk about Guangzhi and Guangmo afterwards, but the game actually gave them a backstory. If you're interested, feel free to give them a read in the journal. At the end of the video, the black bear asks their master a question, which might fairly prompt questions like, who is this master? And when did this bear get a master? The bear's master is Guanyin. They exist in both Buddhism and Taoism. In the Chinese version of Guanyin, we believe that they are female, kind of like an assistant to Buddha. They are approachable and more empathetic to human sufferings. So when did Guanyin become the black bear's master? This part wasn't mentioned in the game, so I'll refer exclusively to the book. After the fire, Wukong spent some time investigating the whereabouts of the missing Kasaya. Eventually, he tracked down the bear from the Black Wind Mountain. Wukong heard him bragging about the newly found Kasaya and inviting his two close friends to his pretty clothes party. Who knew this big muscular bear man was such a diva? Wukong yelled, "Get back Kasaya, you thief!" and went for the bunk. But the bear was too fast. He turned into a shadow and sneaked away. His two friends, the white-clad noble and Lin Xuzi, were not that lucky though. They got one shot by the magic monkey.
Double kill.
Wukong chased after the bear, fought him, but couldn't really catch him because he just kept turning into wind and running away. So how do you catch wind? By tattletelling to God. Wukong went to Bad Guanyin, saying that the monks and the bear were doing arson and thievery in your temple and you just let it happen? Guanyin was like, yo, you right, let's go punish the bear. So the monkey went back to fight the bear again. This time, with Guanyin buff, he got the upper hand. Just when he was about to end the bear, Guanyin stopped him and threw a headband on the bear. Remember the headbands? We talked about them in the previous video. Rulai, the highest rank Buddha, actually made a total of 3 headbands. He asked Guanyin to give all 3 to Tom Monk, and that should help him overcome the 81 trials during his journey to the West. And you might be thinking, like, isn't this Rulai kind of biased towards Tom Monk? Setting up trials for him to do, and also giving him magical headbands to make sure he can succeed? Well, that's because Tom Monk is the reincarnation of Rulai's second disciple. But dude made a classic unforgivable blunder. He dozed off in class while Rulai was teaching Buddhism 101. Rulai was mad pissed about this ultimate disrespect and kicked him out of the team Immortality. He sent this disciple to the human world, erased his memory, set up the 81 exams, and said he can be allowed back once he passed all of them. Personally, I don't think Rulai was that mad though. Tom Monk was born in a really rich and powerful family, so he didn't suffer physically growing up. The journey was long, true, but Wukong was the one doing the heavy lifting. Not to mention, whenever they got into big trouble, they can always call the assistant, Guanyin, to help. Excuse me, can I order 1 help from God to go? Coming right up? Thank you. Bye. Dude literally got one of the gentlest punishments ever. Okay, back to the headbands. Guanyin put one on the monkey's head, put another one on the bear. With that power, Guanyin was able to tame the bear and took them in as a disciple. In this game, it seems like Guanyin appointed this bear with some secret task and sent him back to the Black Wind Mountain with a relic. We don't really know where he learned his dogshit resurrection magic though. But by the time he got back to the mountain, he learned how to kinda bring his friends back to life. So in the actual gameplay of the level, we go through and defeat the revived white-clad noble and the newly appointed Lin Xuzi 2.0 that are helping the black bear run the mountain. And then we also defeat the enemies that were evolved in plotting the fire, like Guangzhi and Guangmou. In the secret map, Old Guanyin Temple, the weird golden golem Elder Jingshi had the worst resurrection out of everyone. Instead of a human, the bear created a monster that got fused with some gold he had stashed away. The blinded crying golem was still obsessed with the Kasaya even after this many years. Yeah, seems like he learned his lesson. Alright, this is everything you need to know to understand the plot in Chapter 1. Now it's time to talk about what the heck is up with this small guy called the Keeper. Keeper is neither guai nor yao guai. He is actually a xian. What does xian mean? It means you are accepted as a staff member for the Celestial Court. Xian usually refers to the middle to lower rank members in the Celestial Court. In this case, Keeper is a di xian. Di means ground. So their responsibility is to take care of human affairs, cause we are on the ground. Yeah. There are other types of xian that are only responsible for the Celestial Court affair. such as weaver xian that makes godly clothes, medicine xian that makes godly pills, peach garden xian that makes godly peaches, etc. So what about the higher rank ones? They're called shen, meaning god. In the opening cutscene, this three-eyed dork is a god. Yeah, unbelievable. Just like guai and yao guai means lesser monster and higher rank monster, xian and shen xian means the lesser god and the higher rank god. Culturally, when we think of the keeper, we associate him with a local spiritual being that handles small prayers. In older times, it was common to pray to keeper to wish for a great harvest, find the thief that stole my chickens, protect my son on his travels, stuff like that. Despite the keeper's low rank, they were widely loved by common folks because they have a reputation of being down to earth and extremely empathetic towards humans. You can see many roadside small temples built by villagers with offerings in rural areas, similar to the ones in-game. Alright, that's all I want to talk about in Chapter 1. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will be back with more Wukong content once I beat the dang rat. Thank you for watching. Bye!